A man walks into a bar. In a corner seat, a group of women quietly judge him. He's okay. Not bad looking, but nothing special. Fast forward a couple of hours and those same women that hadn't shown much interest in this guy are swooning over him. They hang on his every word, blush when he looks them in the eyes. And when they leave the bar, they think about him all night long. What's this guy's secret? What did he do that made him so attractive? Today we'll reveal all, and perhaps you can also work on being more like him. First of all, what's up with looks? Are they really that important? Okay, so this is complicated. A group of young women in one study was asked this question and they all came back with different answers. But the main theme was that they weren't all after that picture-perfect guy. In fact, many of them said focusing mainly on the body alone was shallow. This is what one woman said: "I'm looking for the personality in the picture of their body, and I'm not getting that necessarily from someone that posts a picture of their washboard abs." While there might be a lot of guys out there that are obsessed with their bodies and post pictures of their post-workout muscles at every opportunity, most of the women said men's preoccupation with their bodies doesn't bode well for a long-term relationship. In fact, one woman said this: "I really love that dad bods are in. That's the perfect body. Guys who are having fun and a little bit of a tummy." A psychologist named Jeremy Nicholson wrote in Psychology Today that what women find most attractive is a man that shows some amount of self-care. He said that a guy who seems like he takes care of himself might show a woman that he's capable of taking care of her and any future children they might have. So it's not about being perfect, it's more about not being a slob. Men that really are obsessed with their bodies might give signs to a prospective partner that they care more about themselves than they ever will about her or future offspring. Sure, if the woman is a fitness fanatic, she might well want to date someone who's also a fitness fanatic. But in general, a man doesn't need a washboard stomach to attract women. Magazines and movies featuring perfect bodies breed insecurity, and insecurity is what companies want you to feel. There are some other things too, such as the majority of women are attracted to men that are taller than them too. That's not always the case, but studies have shown it's what most women want. As for the face of a man, the average woman will prefer a symmetrical face. This might seem weird, but according to science, symmetry of the facial features is a sign of healthy genes. One scientist wrote that symmetry suggests fewer genetic and environmental disturbances such as diseases, toxins, malnutrition, or genetic mutations. Women on average also tend to be more attracted to men who have a kind of V-shaped body, rather than an egg shape. Shoulders that are quite large and a waist that doesn't bulge too much are things that might be attractive. But science also says women tend to focus less on this than men do. As we said, it's more about taking care of yourself than it is about getting the perfect body. Studies also say that a masculine face is more attractive to women on average, but that's not always the case. Research has shown that men with masculine faces often give off signs of dominance to women, which could show they're assertive and competitive and want to dominate in all they do. But the same research says these types of men are also assumed to be guys that are better at a fling, a one-night stand, than men with more feminine faces, who women tend to think have high prestige with their buddies and family. Women might want to have a longer-term relationship with these men due to their psychological attractiveness, intelligence, their ability to hold a conversation, and build rapport. Sticking with the face, there's a lot you can do to be attractive. Studies have shown that women are less attracted to guys that look stressed out and don't get enough sleep or look ragged in general. Bags under the eyes are not the best thing to have, for the reason that it could mean elevated stress hormones, which might relate to not having a great immune system. One psychologist in Scotland explained it like this: women seem to be able to detect the men who've got the strongest immune response, and they seem to find them the most attractive. So again, taking care of yourself can be as good as being born with those chiseled features. As for the hair on your body, this seems to differ from country to country, but in general, women prefer men with not so much body hair. Some studies based in China, the US, and New Zealand seem to point to this, that not much hair on the chest and other parts of the trunk was the most attractive to women, although women in Britain preferred some hair as opposed to no hair. In all, keeping that hair in check might be the way to go. In one study, a large number of women from Turkey and Slovakia were shown pictures of guys with either bald chests or hairy chests. The men's heads were not in the photos. The thing was, it was the same men in each photo. In one image he had his chest hair, and in the other he'd shaven it off. Quite incredibly, in both countries, only 20% of women liked the image of the man with a hairy chest. Still, different studies have revealed different results, which has made some scientists think there's more to this than meets the eye. Perhaps a hairy chest is fashionable during some periods in certain countries, or perhaps a woman's liking for hair or no hair is affected by her hormones at the time of her looking at the pictures. Then there's facial hair, which some studies have suggested is attractive to women if it's well groomed. One Australian study found that men with full beards were designated by female participants as being mature, aggressive, and masculine. Men with only light beards were seen as being dominant, and guys with light stubble won out. being the most attractive to the women in the study. It might depend on where you live, too. In some countries, beards on men are less liked than smooth skin. This might just be cultural, but it could also be linked to evolution. Scientists say that a full beard could make women think of hidden ticks and parasites. In general, it seems you can't go wrong with a neat bit of stubble, although it should not be patchy. Okay, so to recap, you might have better luck with a woman who is a bit shorter than you. You don't need to be an Adonis, but your chances with women will be better if you at least groom yourself and get enough sleep. If you like your beard, fine, but in general a bit of stubble is the way to go. As for that hair on your trunk, it seems a little is better than lots on average. You can't really change your facial features, but rest assured some women will go for feminine features and others will go for more masculine features. What's much more important is how you hold yourself, how you speak, what your body movements suggest, and how you come across in general. All these things you can work on. Okay, so let's imagine you've been using a dating site. One thing we should point out here is that an older man gets a larger dating pool compared to women of the same age. That's because more women are interested in older men than men are interested in older women. According to the experts, many women see older men as more financially stable, more mature, and less prone to cheating, so better fathers for children they might have together. We can't really give you a perfect age gap though. All we can say is if you are, say, 35 and she's 25, there's absolutely no reason you can't have a successful relationship. And before you start thinking this is all about daddy issues, a study involving 173 women who were dating men 10 or more years older than them came to the conclusion that this wasn't the case. Many women just like older guys, something that has been called the George Clooney effect. Evolutionary psychology research has said that in general women will look for a man that's slightly older than her, but you shouldn't sweat it too much regarding the age gap. If it feels right for you and for her and you're both adults, then go for it. Countless studies have shown that age differences can be just fine. Still, research has said that the older male might have to show that not only is he responsible, financially secure, but he may have to have a fair amount of social charisma. This charisma is often noticeable when women see you interact with your buddies. It's actually very important, not only what you say to her, but what you say to them. There's a well-known study published in 2010 called Men's Sense of Humor and Women's Responses to Courtship Solicitations, an experimental field study. Basically, a scene was set up in which a guy was with two of his friends in a bar. The guys made themselves noticeable to a group of women who were sat nearby. What happened next was one guy told a joke and his friends laughed a lot. Notably, the jokes were not crude or sexual in nature. Later, the man who had told the joke asked one of the women for her phone number. The same scenario was repeated with other women except the guy that told the joke changed. The upshot was that the man who had told the joke had 3 times more of a chance of getting that phone number. Later, the person conducting the study asked the women about the men. They agreed that the joke teller seemed more attractive and more intelligent, showing that you can hold people's attention, showing that you understand the complexities of life through humor is definitely attractive. It also shows you might make her laugh one day or make her children laugh. In a separate study, humor was tested again. This is what the researchers wrote in the conclusion. Consistent with the social transformation model of humor introduced in this article, individuals, particularly men expressing humor, were rated as more desirable than non-humorous individuals for a serious relationship and marriage. Still, the study also said that men might have to be physically attractive. There's also how you interact with strangers. Let's say you're on the first date with a woman and you've decided to go to a restaurant. What do you think it says to her if you're rude to the waitress? It shows her that this might be a personality trait of yours. Sure, if you show assertiveness and politely send back some food, it might be attractive to her, but being rude in general is a big turnoff. There's something called the halo effect. This means you might just become more physically attractive to someone because you showed an attractive personality trait. In one study called Is Kindness Physically Attractive?, women were showed pictures of men, except each picture came with a word that described the person's personality. Sometimes the word would be positive and sometimes it would be negative. The same pictures had been shown to participants before, except they were asked to rate the men without any information about their personality. What happened is if a person had a nice word under their photo, they were usually given a higher score for physical attractiveness than if they had no word at all or a negative word. Men were more handsome when they were deemed good guys. One of the researchers wrote, "These findings indicate that human interior psychology activity is related to exterior physical features and that a human is the whole entity of psychology and physiology." If you think that's a mouthful, it just means you might look more handsome if she likes the way you are. There was another interesting study related to this in which students on a 6-week summer archaeology course were asked to rate the physical attractiveness of each other on the first day of class. They then did the same on the last day and the scores were dramatically different. One of the researchers said among people who actually know and interact with each other, the perception of physical attractiveness is largely based on traits that cannot be detected from physical appearance alone. No doubt, a lot of you have already experienced this because you've likely met someone who at first you didn't seem to think was very attractive at all. But as time went on, you just started to reassess this and tell your friends, actually this person's really good looking, and you just didn't see it at first. Never underestimate personality. A super handsome bully with no sense of humor and little intelligence might be able to get a one-night stand every now and again, but they will definitely not be top of the list when it comes to long-term relationships. Then you probably all heard about women who like guys that take risks, maybe guys that act a little rebellious. This is true to some extent, but not if the guy is totally out of control. Researchers have said that men who take hunter-gatherer risks can come across as being attractive. In one study, women were asked to rate guys on their behavior. They didn't know that some of the guys were linked to what researchers called modern risks and others hunter-gatherer risks. The former was risk-taking related to cheating or driving without a seatbelt, and the latter was more about doing extreme sports or going alone into a vast forest. The researchers wrote in their conclusion, results confirmed that modern risks were rated as unattractive for both sexes, whereas hunter-gatherer risks were rated as especially attractive when performed by males. Playing it safe might not always work out the best, but you already know that. Just have a brain and don't do something that might hurt you badly, because that also isn't attractive regarding long-term partners. Even scars were preferred in some studies by women, again likely related to risk-taking and our past as hunter-gatherers. In one study, photos of men were shown to women and then the same photos were shown to other women, except a facial scar had been photoshopped onto the face. With the scar, men were ranked higher for short-term relationships but not long-term relationships. Maybe women don't mind having a fling with a rough-and-tumble kind of man. Let's face it, if you're ever going to become a father, the woman you're with will want you to be a loving father, someone who puts his family before anything else. Various studies have shown that certain things you do in life can point to you being a caring kind of person who has nurturing qualities. One of them, no kidding, is just walking dogs, or being especially playful and affectionate with them. So you meet a girl in the park while playing around with a dog that evidently loves you more than anything. You then went out on a date and made her laugh while being very friendly and courteous to the waiting staff. Then you dropped the bombshell. You do volunteer work at a local orphanage. Another study we found was titled "Selflessness is Sexy," reported helping behaviors increase desirability of men and women as long-term sexual partners. It revealed that altruistic behavior makes a person attractive because we've just evolved to think that the helpers of this world will be better partners and better parents. These people might also be seen as having better genes, since they have the strength to make some sacrifices for others. As the scientists wrote, selflessly helping people gives you fitness points. In this study, the researchers gave photos of people to others and asked them to rate their attractiveness. There was Daniel, who below one photo was said to work in recruitment, like rock climbing, and watch a lot of TV. The next photo of him said the same, except the TV was changed to working for free in a school for disruptive kids. He was always ranked as more attractive when he worked with kids. It was the same for other photos. Whenever they volunteered or donated or sacrificed in another kind of way, they got a higher physical attractiveness score. But please guys, don't go volunteering at the local dog pound just so you can put it in your dating profile. You have to mean it, of course, otherwise the truth will come out sooner or later. As for those photos you post on those websites or apps, what you're doing means a lot. Various studies have proven that men who posted photos of themselves next to expensive cars or outside wonderful homes were liked more. The very same men not showing how much cash they had suddenly became less popular. The thing is, faking a photo of you leaning against a Ferrari that isn't yours is only going to get you the swipe. Real life will have to get in on the act at some point, and if the woman really is looking for some rich dude and you're not him, then what a waste of time that's been for everyone. Take a nice photo by all means, but keep it real. Intelligence in some studies was seen as more important than just about every other trait, at least for 10% of women. Liars lying against luxury villas don't exactly come across as deep thinkers. Studies have shown that men who can write music, write books, understand complex science are very attractive to many women. Okay, so you can't have it all, but please take some hope here. You might not win any prizes for your looks, but if you know you can be funny at times or you can impress people with your knowledge of 17th century European architecture, some of you might not have much cash, but you might have courage and determination and the will to work hard, and at the same time you might devote much of your time to helping others. Or maybe you don't care much about material wealth, but you have a daring-do spirit which suggests you'll have amazing adventures with your partner. Don't focus only on looks or body or material things. You are no doubt attractive in your own way to someone out there. Now you need to watch What Exactly is an Orgasm? Or have a look at Does Size Matter? Why Size Differs by Species.